And so me, yeah, a man with no legs, one arm, how dare me? How dare me not take advantage of this human experience? How dare me not take advantage of this amazing body my Creator gave me, even if I have no legs, one arm? How dare me? You see, humans, we get caught up in this pattern saying, I have to. I have to go to the gym. I have to build the business. I have to watch the kids. When in reality, these are all privileges. You get to. You get to go to the gym because you have a full body and you're able to. You get to build the business because you have the freedom to do so. You see, when you change your have-tos to your get-tos, your life will change in that moment. And so if you're up for it, let's do the work now so our future selves thank us later.
So what's up, Nick? How you doing?
Doing great. I've been waiting for you. I let my hair grow, my beard grow.
You're
ready
way
to be rejuvenated.
That's awesome. So what have you been doing these days? I know you talk a lot on stage. You travel a lot. You're inspiring people. I'm inspired by you. I couldn't wait to get you on this podcast.
Yeah.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, we've been up to no good. No, I'm just kidding. We've been building some new things. So lately we've been teaching other people how to become stage masters. And that's someone who, knows how to communicate and knows how to effectively create a business from stages, essentially, make money when they talk.
That's
so
awesome.
No matter what stages, whether it's a podcast, an in-person event, a virtual event, showing them and teaching them how to speak in a methodical way to allow people to go deeper with them, and in result, you make more money and more impact. And so everything that we've learned over the past 6 years, we turn around and condense time for other people.
So you were naturally born with one arm?
Yeah, so I'm 27 years old, and in 1996, before I was born, they diagnosed me with what they call hand-heart syndrome. And hand-heart syndrome immediately leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. And so at the time of my birth in 1996, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of those babies have passed away due to undeveloped organs.
Wow.
And so they told my parents they had, I had about a 30% chance to live. And I was born and they did tests of my organs, and my organs came back 100% healthy. And the only thing that was affected were my limbs. And so I was born with no legs, one arm, with one finger, and a short right arm, short limb.
That's impressive, man. So how was it like growing up?
Yeah.
Going to school, you went to school like regular kids?
Yeah, so the greatest thing my parents did, I was the last child of the family. They had 3 others. I have a brother and 2 sisters. And so when I was born, the biggest thing they did was treat me like normal. And so they would, as soon as I got to an age where I can at least figure out how to do things on my own and I wasn't fully a baby, they would, put my clothes in front of me and say, okay, Nick, you got to figure it out. Or they would put food in front of me with a utensil, and they'd say, you got to figure it out. And I didn't understand what they were doing at an early age, but now that I'm older, I realized that they were helping me program myself to be solution-oriented, focusing on the solution versus the problem. And also I became best friends with failure at a very early age. I failed at everything. Failed at feeding myself, dressing myself, getting on the couch, getting on a chair. And so I learned early on that failure was a part of the process, which I think set me up for a bunch of success in life, because oftentimes people are afraid to fail like it's a bad thing. When in reality, the only thing that's standing in between you and the person you want to become is time, and they failed more than you have.
Wow.
So those were the 2 really important things that I were cultivated into by the way that my parents raised me, of treating me essentially normal.
Wow. So your parents did an awesome job, because I see you're very independent. Like even getting on this chair, I saw you hop right up without any assistance. You don't look to the environment for insistence. You seem like you could just handle it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think I naturally had a chip on my shoulder to do things on my own and to create my own financial freedom or own independence. But also, you know, as I mature and I learn more, there's also a time and a place to ask for help. And I think oftentimes people think asking for help is weak, and that was the meaning that I gave it for a very long time. And then in reality, you know, it takes someone who's essentially strong internally to ask for help. It takes a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of willingness to drop your ego to ask for help. And
Right.
you know, I look at, like, you know, my brother passing away from, you know, addiction. A lot of the times you don't know people are addicted to something because they are afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to look weak. And so there's a time and a place to be independent, but there's also a time and a place for you to be willing to surrender and ask for help. You know, even now,
Right.
there's just some scenarios where it's just easier for me to ask for help. It's like I can attempt for a couple of minutes to open the water bottle, or I could just be like, yo, open the water bottle, you know? Or if there's something that going to take me a long time, I'd rather just ask for help. So
Yeah, and you don't mind asking, you just get it done.
yeah.
So for somebody who has all their limbs, legs, and everything, and they're a teenager going through some rough times, perhaps in school or whatever they're going through, what kind of advice would you give them for somebody that has everything to thrive in life
Yeah, I think
and to handle problems better without having to go on a medication or seeing doctors? Or
Yeah, I think the big thing is at least the majority of people, even myself, it's like we weren't taught on how to deal with emotions. You know, I always tell people, it's like my family or my parents showed love in two ways. They showed love with money and they showed love with food. And so there was never a time where my parents sat me down and were like, hey, let's talk through your emotions, or this is how you deal with this. You know, like your parents did the best they could with what they knew in their current software. And my parents, the way that they showed love was money and food. There wasn't emotional intimacy. There wasn't deep, meaningful conversations. There wasn't, you know, much presence in that sense. And so a lot of the times for someone that has all their legs and all their arms, it's like, it's not your fault, first off, that you weren't taught these tools, because we only know what we know as human beings. And oftentimes as a child, you think adults have their life together, and the truth is adults don't have their life together. It's like we're all just figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
And so for those that, you know, maybe are in middle school and high school that are struggling and going through tough times, the best thing that you can do is focus on your internal world. Focusing on what's right versus what's wrong. Focusing on what you have versus what you don't have. I mean, oftentimes, especially in this Western civilization, especially in America, kids are so privileged, or that they're always focusing on what they don't have, when you look around, they have everything under the sun, right? So understanding the focus pattern, that every time you focus on the things that you don't have, you're going to feel not so good.
Yep.
And because you feel not so good, you're going to take not so good action, you're going to get not so good results, and you're going to have a not so good life.
Yeah.
And so it's really important, regardless of what your at-home situation looks like, what the financial situation looks like, what your life looks like, is to remind yourself to focus on what you have versus what you don't have. The other thing is use those arms and legs, you know, like one of the greatest things that you could do to build self-confidence and self-worth is to go do a sport.
Yeah.
Go find a sport. And I'm not saying you have to go become a professional baseball player,
Right.
but I'm saying by being a part of a team and a community and working together and pushing yourself physically and mentally, you build a newfound relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
You build some confidence, you build some self-worth, you feel a part of a community, a part of a team. I mean, maybe there's people out there right now that they feel alone within their home. It's like you can go find a team and be a part of that, you know? And so that's what I would say, is be very conscious of your focus and where your focus is, but also leverage the body that your creator gave you to the best of your ability, because there's some people out there who don't get it all.
All right, so you're dropping a lot of bombs here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of info taken, and I think this is probably one of the biggest things we could take away from this video here, is never compare yourself to others, right?
Yeah.
Because if you compared yourself to others, we wouldn't be in a beautiful house that you have here. You wouldn't be on stage talking to thousands of people all around the world.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Not to compare yourself to others and focus on yourself, bettering yourself.
Yeah, especially in the age of social media. Social media screwed a lot of kids up. Screws a lot of adults up because you log on to Instagram and you see a 21-year-old on a jet, and you think that's real, and you think it's real life, and you ask yourself, should I be further ahead? I'll never have that, I'll never have this. And when in reality, most people on Instagram, they're just flexing. They don't really have that life. It's just for the likes and the comments.
Right.
But the only time that you should be looking at other people is to acknowledge them and to celebrate them and to analyze what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong so you can learn from it, not to bring you down. And I made a piece of content on this and said, the only person that you should be comparing yourself to is the man or woman you were yesterday. And like just being in competition with yourself, like our whole goal and mission is to build ourselves into a man or woman that we can give to the world. So if you look at my life, the reason why I have so much success is because my life is an offering. All of my knowledge, all of the traumas that I've healed, all the things that I've overcome, the body that I've lived in, the things that I built, it's all great, but it's even greater when I can give that back to the world and with people who need it. And so when you help enough people get what they want, you can have anything you want in life. But you have to start with building yourself into the man or woman that you would listen to. You just got to start building yourself into the man or woman that you would pay for, that you would invest in. People, in the most direct way, people will be like, well, no one listens to me. It's like, well, because you're a 4. You think you're a 10, but you're operating at a 4. There's a next level of life for you, and you got to lead from the front and show people from the front what they're truly capable of. But make sure you're not listening to someone who doesn't have the life or the results that you want. I think there's too many people out there giving money advice from people who don't have money. They give relationship advice from people who don't know how to have a deep, meaningful relationship. They give health advice when they're not in shape, And so if you don't have the life or the results that I want, there's really it's not necessary for me to listen to you.
That's right.
And I think the world's a little bit jaded, right? Because you go to school and you get advice from someone who's not happy. The teacher's not happy themselves. Or you go to college and you're learning business advice from someone who's a teacher, not a business owner, right?
Yeah.
Like a little jacked up a little bit, So be very conscious of who you're learning from, who you're investing in, and making sure that they have something that you desire to have so they can help you get there faster.
That's awesome. So you talked about, we talked about not comparing to yourself. What would be the next thing that people could do to be at their maximum so they could live and thrive in all areas of their life? What would be the next principle?
Yeah, I'm a big believer is typically how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so, if people fall short with their health and fitness, they probably fall short in other areas of their life.
And you work out.
Yeah,
I
of
see
course.
you on Instagram working out all the time.
Of course.
You're doing everything we're doing.
Yeah.
Benching, you're squatting.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I got to take advantage of this human experience, like how dare me not take advantage of it regardless of what my body looks like. And so I think your physical body and your physique is one of the closest immediate results of manifestation. Like what your thoughts are and what you consume, you become. And so what's pretty interesting about food, why it's so hard for people to be in shape is because food is a vice that you need. Like drugs you don't essentially need, right? You don't essentially need cigars
or weed. It's really about dopamine,
right?
Right? You're getting that dopamine hit.
Yeah, but food you can't escape it. You gotta win that battle 4 or 5 times a day, right? There's no going without food, and so that's a choice that you must make every single day. Is like, am I going to eat something bad or am I going to eat something good?
Right.
So typically, when people strip vices away, the last thing that they struggle with is the vice of food, because you can't hide from that food.
A lot of that comes from conditioning too, no?
Yeah.
Condition yourself so that you're not questioning 5 times a day about what you're going to eat.
Yeah.
You're trained and conditioned to just act subconsciously.
Yeah, I agree. And also, people, like I said earlier, people only know what they know. So, you know, we've been taught that like Gatorade's healthy. It's like, yo, Gatorade has just as much sugar as a soda does. Like, it's okay, they put electrolytes on it, right? Like, there's a lot of Fugazi out there.
Yeah.
And so we only know what we know, but especially as kids, most is caught, not taught. And so you're essentially, your parents maybe didn't teach you everything, but you watch them, you watch their actions, you watch what they say, you watch what they do, you watch what they drink, you watch what they eat, and you fall right in line with them until you break out of that. And so I think it's the catalyst to a lot of people's change is becoming curious, like questioning everything. Questioning everything, becoming curious, asking great questions, finding great answers.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely. Ask and you shall receive.
100%.
So
But
what
ask
are
great
some
questions.
powerful questions that you ask yourself that keep you on point?
Yeah.
Are there any that stand out in your head that
Yeah.
you question yourself?
Yeah, the quality of your life comes down to the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And, you know, a question that I ask myself frequently is, what makes me successful already in this very moment? Because that already presupposes that I'm successful.
Nice.
But the brain is the best detective in the world, and the brain is always going to try to find evidence to prove yourself right.
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, the brain is the best detective. Oh, my question.
The question, yeah.
Yeah, what makes me successful already in this moment?
What makes me successful already in this moment?
100%.
So that there's a lot to that question in there.
Yeah.
In this moment makes you present.
Yeah.
It brings you to now. You're not thinking future. And I'm hearing a little gratefulness in there, right?
For sure. And also, it presupposes that you're successful. Versus like, what do I need to do in order to become successful? That would presuppose that you're not successful already.
Right.
Right? It's like the same thing, like, you know, you're a dad, right? It's like, what makes me a great father in this moment? What are all the reasons why I am an amazing father? Versus the question
I needed
of...
to ask that question yesterday with one of my kids.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, man.
Versus like, why am I not a good father? You know, like questions dictate your focus. So based on the question, your brain's going to pick up on whatever, even if it's not real, the brain will find the answer to prove to you that you're right.
That's correct.
So you better ask some good questions because you're always going to get an answer at the end of it.
That's right.
You know?
Now,
How can, you know, another question is like, how can, based on your beliefs, but for me it's like, how can I enjoy even more of all God's love in this moment? You know?
So it sounds like you're bringing yourself to presentness.
Yep.
That's the key.
Yep.
Being present.
Yep, and focusing on what's right.
Wow.
Asking an empowering question versus a disempowering question. But most of us are programmed and conditioned, like you mentioned, to ask bad questions.
So what do you value the most? Do you value security? Do you value adventure? Do you value growth? Do you value your health? What is your top priority? Your first number one value? What is it?
I would say growth and health.
Growth comes first. So you have to grow.
Yeah.
Like you have to grow mentally. You
I
have to grow in business.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of kill two birds with one stone with my values, because if I'm growing, that means I'm investing in my health.
Okay.
So that's an aspect of growing, right? It's like, for example, like when people value significance, like every human being values significant. They want to feel important.
Yes.
But some people feel important by moaning and complaining.
Yeah.
Some people
true.
get significance by saving lives.
Yeah.
You know, both meet their needs, but one meets them in an empowering way, and one
Yes.
meets them in a disempowering way.
Yeah, we could spend another 2 hours just on that topic. On
Yeah,
how
100%.
people use it.
100%.
But I just wanted to get an understanding of, you know, where you at mentally, because you know that makes a big difference in the quality of our lives. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I value growth. I value my health. I like variety. Love variety. New
All right,
countries,
so let's
new
start
people.
over again. Growth.
Yep.
What was the second one?
I would say growth and health.
Growth. Okay. We can see that your health is very important to you.
Yep.
What's the next one?
Variety.
Variety. Yeah.
New
huge.
places, new things, new foods, new cultures,
Yeah.
new products,
That
new
keeps
people.
you happy, right?
Yeah.
Inspired.
Yeah.
Takes you out of your head and focus on the environment.
Yeah. Yeah, it switches up make sure you're not in the same cycle, you know, what would they say, a monotonous?
Yeah.
A monotonous lifestyle.
Yeah, it breaks it up a little.
Yep.
So what are you doing in your business? You're very active in business. Where are you headed with business?
Yeah, right now we are creating online digital programs and courses and masterminds, so I don't necessarily have to be on an in-person stage to change lives, and I can impact my students just from my laptop or my phone if I jump on a call. So it's really important for us to create, you know, like, we're still in the lifestyle business, you know? Like, I don't want to be a slave to my business. I want my business to work for me.
Nice.
And so making sure that the business model is scalable, it's effective, but also it's pandemic-proof, recession-proof, you know? That regardless of what happens, if the world shuts down again or who knows, that nothing will be affected.
So your biggest thing right now is speaking on stages, right? Is that like your...
Yep, speaking on stages and coaching.
Is that where your passion lies, in communication, speaking, inspiring?
Yep. Yeah, communicating, the artist in me, you know, creating talks that change people for the better.
Okay, I think that's huge, especially for like kids in high school and college.
Yeah.
We're obsessed with our phones, we're staring at them. Communication is not like it used to be. So how do you recommend us becoming better communicators? What's the number one thing that you could recommend to kids, even young adults that are staring at their phones all day? Is there something we could do to...
Yeah, I would say is having deep, meaningful conversations in person, but also the bottom line is you just need more, people need more repetitions of just talking. They need more repetitions of having hard conversations.
Yeah.
They need more repetitions of speaking and being authentic and vulnerable about their emotions and what they're feeling.
And not holding it in.
Yeah, not suppressing it and not soothing it and not hiding it. Because everything's a muscle. Communication is a muscle. Having hard conversations is a muscle.
Yes.
Working through traumas and emotions is a muscle. And with a muscle, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Correct.
And so the best thing that you could do is just start having uncomfortable conversations. Start opening up about things that scare you. Start talking to new people. You know, it's just like getting reps in.
So think about, I'm just thinking about it, like when you're saying that, how much, what's like the ramifications of holding all that in?
That's a great
right?
question.
Like the things that kids do that they don't realize it because they're holding their emotions and not expressing it properly has a ramification to it.
Yeah.
Right?
The first thing is you'll never heal.
You'll never heal, wow.
You'll never heal.
And the longer you put it out, right, the longer you let it go, the harder it is to correct it.
Yeah.
It'll be harder for you to see.
Yep. And it builds and builds and builds, and then you build resentment and anger and grudges. And
then it can come out in a whole bunch of ways.
Yep.
Through relationships, through your career, maybe the way you treat your own health.
100%.
Right, and then you could probably, we can go on, that's a whole nother podcast in itself as well. But if just certain strategies, like you said, opening up to certain situations would help.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there's going to be people listening right now that there's a hard conversation that popped into your head that you haven't been having. Like, go have that thing.
Yeah.
Go start there.
Now.
Yeah, right now, right after this.
Close the video and do it.
So, you know, it's hard, especially when you weren't taught to communicate, you know, like a lot of people are very suppressed, they're very to themselves. They think vulnerability is weak, they think authenticity is weak, they think talking about their insecurities is weak, when in reality, it takes a true man and a true woman and a strong person, a grounded person to open up and say, hey, I'm struggling. Or, hey, I feel this way, can you help me work through it? Or, hey, I'm feeling insecure, can you help me? You know, we have all these, the meaning we give to these things are all negative when in reality they're all great things. And so just speak more, just be opened up more. But a lot of people are sheltered, they're closed off. They got bricks around their heart. They don't, and the reason why communicating is so powerful is because when you communicate, you get to feel it.
Right.
And in order to heal it, you have to feel it, and if you never feel it, you never heal it.
So you've been speaking on a lot of stages lately. You've seen a lot of people around the world. What are some patterns that you see that really jump out at you that you see all the time?
Yeah, that's a great question. Going to the 3 focus patterns, most humans are always focused on what they don't have versus what they do have. Most humans are always focused on what they can't control versus what they can control. And most humans are either focusing on the future or the past, and they're not in the present moment.
Wow.
Another one is a lot of people feel inadequate. They don't feel enough.
What do you think makes that?
They're always focused on the evidence.
Environment. You think the environment portrays that? They see that?
Yeah, they see it. Maybe their environment's toxic, right? And then also just in themselves, they're always focused on the evidence that they're not enough versus the evidence that they are enough. Right? It's just a small shift. But it has to do, like you said, it has to do with environment. It has to do with who you're surrounding yourself with and how they talk to you. But it also has to do with the biggest person. It's like, how do you talk to yourself? I always ask people, would you date the person that lives inside your head? And for the majority of people, the answer is no. And then, would you the way that you talk to yourself, would you talk to your daughter that way? Like, how dare you, right? And so it all starts internally. People are trying to fill a spiritual hole with things in the materialistic world that don't work that way.
How about for relationships? What do you think is for a relationship to thrive? Have you seen any patterns when you spoke that really jumped out at you?
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 dimensions to a relationship, and most people fall into the first and second dimension. The first dimension of a relationship is it's all about my needs. It's all about me.
It's about me.
Yep.
It's not. They don't.
Yep.
Wow.
And the moment my needs aren't being met, I leave. I become emotionally unavailable. I pull back.
Okay. So what would be the one belief that you need to have for yourself, for relationships, and to thrive in life? What would that one belief be, in your opinion?
Yeah.
That's a tough one, right?
The third dimension of relationship, the belief is your needs are my needs.
Your needs are my needs.
100%. And when your needs get met, I'm fulfilled, and I'm doing my part. And
your needs are my needs.
Yep.
That's huge right there.
And that's how we deal with clients. That's how we deal with customers. That's how we deal with event organizers. That's how we deal with you. Like we operate off the third dimension of a relationship, But most people are stuck in the second one, which is where we all think we need to be. It's like, we all heard of like win-win situations.
Yeah.
And what the second dimension of relationship states is you scratch my back, I scratch yours. But if you really analyze that, it's horse trading. It's transactional. It's like if you bring 5 marbles to the table and I bring 4, it's like the deal ain't going on because it's not fair. And so relationships tend to become transactional. If he doesn't do this, I'm not emotionally available for him. If she doesn't do this, I'm not going to invite her out to dinner. If she don't bring me flowers, I ain't going to do this. It's a bunch of hoopla.
Right. Wow, a lot of drums, a lot of bombs being dropped here right now. This is probably one of the most special haircuts I've ever done. I remember the first time I cut your hair, I was so inspired. I went home. Remember I told you about my daughter?
Yep.
How that happened?
Yeah.
I was cutting your manager's hair. Would you consider your friend manager?
Yep.
And he told me about you. He said, yeah, one day I'll cut your hair. I'll let him cut your hair. And then I went home, I told my daughter, she's 13, I told her, listen, I did the most craziest haircut today. I was so grateful I got it done. And then I said, one day I'll cut his hair. Right? And then the day, what was it? The next day. Next day you called and you said you needed a haircut.
Yeah.
So the world was listening.
Just like that. The whispers of the universe.
Unbelievable. So, what do you think of your haircut, man? can't see it.
Well, I know what you do. I trust the artist in you. So I know it's amazing. It's always amazing. You always rejuvenate me, revitalize me.
That's awesome.
And I always let my beard grow, my hair grow for you to clean me up, you know?
Let's show them your muscles.
Some muscles, we got going on.
Boom.
Flexing up.
Look at that.
So we feel good.
Well, thank
Nice
you
and
for
cleaned
coming
up.
to my podcast, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been an honor to be on your show.
I learned so much, and I'm sure people watching learn so much. There's a lot to learn, and everything you said, we have to apply now. We got to execute.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Knowledge is potential power. The real power comes from applying it.
That's it, man. You like your skin fades, huh?
We're back. Yeah, wake up. I don't got to do anything to it.
Nice.
That's great.
This is a wash and go haircut.
Yep. Let's go.
Awesome.
Thank you.